Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. It is December 2022, day 17, and here we have Rust and a bookmark, and the animal for today is a moth. So this is hosted by 49 Dragonflies with Barbara and by Louisa Heinzel at Junk Journal Art, and this has been a really fun collaboration. Now I don't have any rust on hand or anything rusty, so I'm going to try to make the things that I'm making look like they're rusty. So little smoke and mirrors, I guess. So what I have is I have some moths, and I have some of this Tim Holtz paper, and I'm not sure if this paper is still available, but it's an 8x8 stack, and it's called Etc. I think. If it's still available, I'll link it in the description below, but I just really love especially this piece. And then I have some of the cardstock that I sprayed on in the last couple videos, and then some moths. And I've got these three little paper, they're really thin paper frames left over from a scrapbooking stack that I had like 11 million years ago. And so I'm going to try to use these and make them look like frames. So to do that, I'm going to set the rest of this stuff aside and just start working with the frames. Oh, and I have some acetate too. Okay, so let me put this up here so I can get to it easily. So I'm just going to glue these onto this file folder, and then we'll work with them. And it's easier for me to work on a bigger surface rather than just try to you know, work around these narrow little edges. But by putting them on the file folder, I'm giving them a little bit more sturdiness, and it'll be easier for me to work with them in that respect. When I was doing my craft room reorganization last January, I almost got rid of all this stuff, and then I thought to myself, no, I can probably alter it in such a way that it will still be useful. So I collected all the little weird things like this that were obviously designed to be some sort of frame, and then put them in a what do you call it, a DVD case, and stuck it in my drawer with other frames. So today is actually the 17th, but it's getting to be kind of late in the day because I was busy all morning with other duties, and then I've spent a couple hours just sort of mulling over how I wanted to do this, and I tried to rust some staples thinking, well, that could maybe be my rusty thing, but it didn't really work. So I'm just gonna make rust. That's what we do, right? We take perfectly good things and make them look like they're rusty. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut this down now so I can work with it a little easier. And right off the bat, I'm going to cover these with white gesso. Well, actually, you know what? I'm just going to dip my paintbrush into the jar here because there's nothing on my paintbrush. And I'm just going to paint over these. I want to disguise that color. Okay, I'm going to dry this and probably put a second coat on. Okay, so I put another coat of gesso on and I dried it, and now I'm just going to spray it with the same colors I've been using in some of my other videos. We've got vintage photo, antique linen, a mica spray that is in tarnished brass, some wild honey, and then I'm almost out of this one, the antique bronze. And this will give them some color as a base. So I'll probably speed up through this because I'm going to be drying in between each layer. And because rust has a tendency to be green, I'm also adding a little bit of the fresh balsam. Okay, it took a while, but this is finally dry, at least dry enough to work with. And now I want to take this piece and I want to score it at 3 inches from this edge. And this is 8, so I'm going to score it at the 5-inch mark, so it's 3 inches from this edge. And then I want to cut this part off, and that's at 2 inches. And then while I have this here, I want to cut this at 3 inches. By 3 inches to start with. Because that's what's going to form my bookmark. So it'll go over the top of the page. And on this side, I want to glue these 3 frames. I'm going to try to get them somewhat even, and then I'm going to cut out the center. So let's get the frames cut out first. Okay, so on here, I think probably the easiest way to do this is to get the first one centered and then place the others accordingly. That makes the most sense to me. I'm just going to glue the whole thing on so it doesn't, even though I'm going to cut the center out, I'm still going to glue this part because I don't want it sliding around when I'm trying to carve out the center. And I'm going to do it about 1/2 inch from the edge. And it'd probably be helpful if I had my ruler here. Oh, I did that pretty well. Not bad. Okay, so one thing happened that was kind of weird is all the squares have this weird little dark spot square in the middle. I don't know where that came from. I don't know how that happened, but it's weird. Okay, and the paper, these are kind of warped now because of the drying. So I have to make sure that they get stuck really well. And now the next one should be about 1/2 inch from the first one. So I can line my ruler up so that it's on line with this one, but also so I can tell where 1/2 inch is. And the last one I'll glue along the same line and 1/2 inch above the middle one. Okay, I'm going to set these under a very heavy book to dry, and I'll be back in a little bit. Alright, so this is nice and dry and flat now, and I'm going to cut out these center squares. the best I can. Hopefully we will, let's go this way. All right, so I successfully cut out all of the centers, and they're not perfect, but that's okay. We're gonna do some more work on those. And I have, since the animal is the moth, it's really an insect, but I have some of these pictures of moths. They're illustrations. And by the way, these all came out of this book, Butterflies of the World, that I picked up at a thrift store, and it is just amazing. It's just got all these beautiful, beautiful illustrations, and what I like about it is that the other side of the page is all just text. So when you cut out a moth on this page, you don't have to worry about, you don't have to choose between the moths on this page or the butterflies on this page and one on this page. It's always illustrations and then text behind. So that was a really, really, really good find. So the first ones I want to use are these three, and they're going to fit behind these windows, except this one's going to be a little bit small. So I'm going to put it on, you know, one of the pieces that I cut out, just so that you don't see the other side through, which is, I mean, it's not bad, but it's just not what I want. So I'm going to cut these out, and it's going to kind of look like, I don't know, slides or something maybe. So everybody probably knows this, but the easiest way to tell the difference between a moth and a butterfly, because there are some really, really pretty moths out there, is that when they land on a leaf or a flower or something, a moth always lands with its leaves spread out, its wings spread out flat, whereas a butterfly will always land with its wings folded up. And then, of course, moths typically have feathery antennae and thicker bodies. I don't know what this thing is, but it was in with the moths in the moth section of that book. Looks more like a wasp to me, but you know. What do I know? I am not an entomologist. So since this one is a little bit smaller, I'm going to put him in the center to kind of balance it out. And let's see, which is the best one to put in here? Maybe not that one. Yeah, we'll do that one, since that one is the one that I think came out of that hole. First I'm going to ink it up in case any of the edges happen to show. They won't all show, but just in case. Okay, and then the rest of the other two can just be glued on directly to the paper behind there. I think I will use glue stick, because if I have to adjust it a little bit, it'll be easier. Our glitter glue, you know, when it grabs, there's no moving it. Okay, that looks pretty good. Get the other one down. Okay, I really like that so far. I want to put some acetate behind it as though it were a specimen. So I'm going to put some double back tape in between these to hold the acetate in place, because I'm going to put it through my sewing machine, and I don't really want to be sewing through double back tape. I'm also going to cut a little bit off the bottom. A little more. That way I won't be sewing through the acetate either. Now this side of the bookmark is going to have this piece on the back, which I'll also put a moth on, and the idea being that you can put it over a page like this or like this, which this is the way I want to do it. So when I'm going to sew this down this side and down here, and not up here. I'm going to wait until I get ready to put this on. So I will be right back. Okay, so I've sewn this edge and this edge, so it's completely closed now, and I want to have it so that it comes on from the right hand side of the page. So I want to attach this piece here and here. First I'm going to sew along this edge separately, and then I'll attach it and sew all the way around like that. So I'll go do that and be right back. Okay, I love how this came out. So we just put it over the page like so, and it sits on the page like that. So let's go ahead and, okay, so you can see where when you stitch through, it pushes the paper through, so you have some of these little white bumps. So I always like to ink that up. Now I want to take probably this moth and cut it out, and let's see how that works out. I'm going to cut his little antenna off because it's just too hard to cut around them. Kind of wondering about these little guys too. We'll set that aside for right this minute, and then let's see if we can add another little something. Maybe that, or I always like these field labels. Maybe one of these little ones. I'm going to distress these with Rusty Hinge. Seems appropriate for the project. Maybe spray it with water. And then same with this guy. Nothing like getting glue all over your fingers right before dinner. Maybe add a little bit of washi. Which way do I want them flying? I'll put them over here. Okay, that side's done. And now I want to do some more to these frames to make them look a little bit more rusty. So let me get prepared for that, and I'll be right back. Okay, well, I really love how this is turning out so far. The frames have a nice rusty look to them. There are lots of variegation. It's really variegated with all the different spots and stuff on there. So that turned out really well, I think. And then on the back here, we have this little collage with the moths. But I want to do something just a little bit more because when things rust, they tend to corrode. So I'm going to use some of this Distress Grit Paste, translucent, and I'm just going to apply, I don't even need that much. I'm going to apply some of this grit paste. Oh, I'm just going to use my finger. And we're just going to add it in spots, like mostly in the corners. And when it dries, it will have this gritty look to it that I think looks really cool. And you can see through it because it is translucent, but it will look as though the frame is so old and grungy and it's just starting to corrode. I don't want a lot, just bits here and there. Okay, I think that's enough. And we'll let that dry and then come back and see if it needs anything more. Oh, hi, you're still here. I'm so glad. It is actually the next day. And I let this dry overnight because every time I came back to check on it, it was still a little bit wet. So we are going to carry on and make our own rusty grunginess. So I don't know if the camera is picking this up, but you can see some of the grunginess here from the grit paste. And now I just want to color it in. And what I'm using is some spray stain Wild Honey and then the Fresh Balsam Mica Stain. And I sprayed some into this little cup here. And I'm going to use this to just sort of color in some of these grit paste sections. And then we'll dry it and go from there until we're satisfied with the results. So yeah, it's snowing right now, which is like, okay, well, it's going to be pretty if any of it sticks. Right now it kind of resembles fluffy rain a little bit, but some of it, believe it or not, is sticking. So if you don't have anything rusty at home, which I didn't, even though I tried to make some rusty water by throwing some staples in some water and vinegar and hydrogen peroxide and that kind of stuff, I didn't really get the results that I wanted. So you know what though, we're junk journalers, and when we don't have something, we just make it. So if we don't have rust, we can make our own rust, right? Okay, so that's looking pretty good. I really like that. So I'm going to dry this and then come back and add the fresh balsam. Okay, this is looking really good. So now I'm just going to add some of the fresh balsam, and it has a, you know, it's a mica stain, so it has a little bit of a metallic look, which means it'll give it just a little bit different flavor of color. And you know how, like, when you take a battery out of a flashlight and you discover that it's corroded, it has all that grunginess on the outside of it. That's kind of what I was hoping to accomplish with the grit paste on these frames, to make it look. Oh, that's the wrong color. I dipped it into the wild honey part instead of the balsam. Oh well, that's okay. Anyway, that's what I was kind of hoping to achieve with this, with the grit paste here, to make it look corroded. And I think it's working. Does anybody else think it's ironic that as junk journalers we take something that's perfectly good and we make it look as bad as possible because looking grungy is so awesome? I just think that's funny. And I really like it. I like the irony of that. I'm using a paintbrush to do this because I want to be very controlled about where this all goes. If I just spray it on, well then, you know, it's everywhere. Okay, I like that. I'm going to try this again and be right back and put one more color on, and I'm going to use the Salvage Patina, which is kind of, you know, the final rusty weird color that makes it look really cool. Okay, I'm loving this more and more and more. So now I'm going to use some of this Distress Oxide just to lightly tap onto the grit paste, and I'm using the domed blending foam so that, you know, I can keep it localized to just the raised parts easier. Oh, that looks awesome! Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my word. I love this. Just hitting the high spots. Oh my goodness. I absolutely love this. It's just giving just a hint of that color and making it look so corroded. Oh, this is fun. Oh, I hope you stayed till the end, because this Salvage Patina just absolutely makes it. Can you see that? I really hope you can. I'm going to zoom in so that you can see it a little bit better. There. Here, I'll do it this way so you can see a little bit better. Can you see the Salvage Patina look on there? Just the hint of that green, just on the very highest points of the grit paste, just enough to give it that really, really, really grungy look. Okay, one last finishing touch. I cut these moths out of that book that I showed you earlier and backed them onto a file folder to give them some stiffness and structure. And then I embossed them with this Distress Frosted Crystal, and it gives the wings kind of this powdery look, like they're real. So I'm going to put a couple of these on here with some art glitter glue just on the outside, just like they sort of just landed there. You know, in retrospect, I'm really glad my experiment with trying to rust the staples didn't work, because now I have learned a way to create the look of rust that I like even better than what I was gonna do, which was just spray some of the rusty water. I didn't really know what I was going to do with it. Sometimes the best experiments are the ones that don't work. Oh, that doesn't make any sense. Well, what I mean is that if it doesn't work, then you can try something different that works out better. And I think this definitely worked out better. So I absolutely love this. Show you how it fits on a page. So it's got the opening right here on the back. It just goes over the top of the page like that and just sort of hugs the corner, and voila, a grungy, rusty bookmark of Moth specimens. So I hope you liked this. This was a ton of fun to do, and I hope you'll give it a try with some of these products. And I don't, I'm not a sponsor or anything like that for Tim Holtz products, but I have tried a few of them, and I have to say I really, really like it. So when Salvage Patina came out, I knew I wanted it, but I waited a while to get it because, I can't just get everything I want from Tim Holtz right away, even though I wish I could. But I will leave links in the description below if you're interested in any of this stuff. And I do get a teeny, like, pennies commission from Amazon if people click on the links, but nothing major. This is the paper pack that I used, and I guess it's called Etc. And like I said, I do not know if this is still available, but if it is, I will include it in the description below. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you'll have fun making your own rustiness and grunginess, and it's just too much fun. Anyway, so thanks so much for watching, everybody. Stay tuned for December 18th, which is actually today, but I'm sure I won't get this done today, for handmade stencil and notepad. Well, notepad I got. Handmade stencil, I have no idea what I'm going to do there, but we shall see. So anyway, stay tuned for that. I'll see you in my next video. Happy crafting. Let the serendipity find you like it found me today and yesterday. So thanks a lot, everybody. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.